paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, that's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. I am Corbin Hostler, joined by Jason Alt and DJ Johnson. DJ is fresh back from the regional championship in Denver. We're going to talk all about that, about the modern
I was
format.
in Hartford before that, too.
Turned on its head.
Boy.
What was in Hartford, DJ?
Command Fest or SCG Con or whatever they're called.
Sure.
The Whalers, baby.
Isn't that that's a defunct team, right, Jason?
They're called the Carolina Hurricanes now, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. When I was a kid, the Hartford Whalers were one of my top 3 teams, along with the Nordiques.
You just love defunct teams. Who's the rest of your top 3? The California Golden Seals?
Well, I think we're probably talking NHL 95 on the Super Nintendo here. But yeah, I liked the Nordiques.
The Avalanche were a team.
The Whalers.
94?
I think the Canucks were my other team.
Canucks.
At the time, it's family
They
connections.
had
We
Pavel
a friend.
Bure, I guess.
Friend of ours was a coach there at the time. But now I'm all Maple Leafs, so it doesn't matter. The point is,
Maple Leafs.
defunct NHL franchises have the best name.
Start with this. I cracked open a special one, and I had 2020 Boco. It's fantastic.
That's is that a pre-pandemic beer, Jason? Or is that a post-pandemic 2020?
It was
They bottled
bottled
COVID.
pre-pandemic.
Yeah, there you go. Safe.
It's unvaxxed.
My family is currently sitting at home with COVID. You accept your symptoms, mainly in the form of clicks at patreon.com/BSB, where all of our patrons go to support this show and make it possible. And just wanted to let you all know, in these hard times financially for everyone, we appreciate it, especially in the Magic content is struggling in a lot of places, and we appreciate all of you.
If you play Magic a lot, we know you don't have kids. So use some of that money that you would spend on dating and children that is just burning a hole in your pocket. And
Jason, do you ever see
patreon.com.
people with recent kids who are Magic players, and then they go to an event or two when they have a baby, and they're like, "This will be easy. Having kids in Magic is easy."
Mhm.
When they start
They
start
go home and their
moving.
wife is like, "If you ever leave me alone with this kid for 2 days again."
Well, yeah,
we had
man.
we had a customer at the booth in Hartford who thought that some of the money was fake because the $100 bill didn't have the blue stripe on it. And
Okay. The
well,
blue stripe
this is-
test.
this is related, Corbin, don't worry. And so we had a conversation. We swapped it out, gave him some 20s. It was fine. And then asked him, wait, this bill was printed in 1996. How old are you? And he said 2007.
Oh.
17-year-old Magic player, baby, at the SCG Con. Just did not know that the $100 bills printed in the past 10 or 15 years look very different than the ones printed from before he was born.
It's wild to see somebody see a 1995 $100 bill, and it looks like the first time I saw a Confederate silver certificate with Jefferson Davis's face on it, or some shit like that. It's this was from 1870.
Well, on the subject of money, this is something I discovered last week. People were talking about Shieldred hitting almost $100 as being the card that's just all over on a bunch of formats right now, and drawing parallels to Jace, when Jace, of course, hit $100.
We
twice,
did that.
because 2 different Jaces existed.
We
So I
did
went
that
and looked
last
it up.
week on the podcast. That was us.
So I went and looked. Jace Friends Prodigy in 2016, spring 2016, peaked at $92 TCG. Because it's the internet, when I tweeted this out, some people had to come quibble with me that market price isn't real, and that it was definitely $120 because they remember it for $120. Unfortunately,
Human memory, Corbin. You were beaten by the most infallible of data.
Well, you know what I did?
Thingies.
I explained to them, one, what market price was, and then I directed them to our generous sponsor, mtgstocks.com, which is, of course, where I went to find the market price for Jace Vryn's Prodigy in spring 2016, because all of that data is there. The data is there going back even further than that. I don't have to listen to random people on Twitter telling me, I think it was 120, when I can just look and see that the actual market price, what the card was selling for, via MTG stocks and TCG
listen,
Player.
I was playing FNM at Face to Face every week, and I specifically remember it was 120 Canadian dollars. Okay?
Okay.
So you can tell me it wasn't $120 and that the NHL salary cap would go up if it wasn't for our weak money.
Sorry, friend.
Sorry for people.
Sorry about that, friend. Sorry about that.
Sorry, boot.
But this is what's sad though. $92 in 2016, which I know feels like yesterday to you. That's $117.20.
That's
so when you talk about $95 Shieldreds, recognize that it's a long way from Jace Vryn's Prodigy, and it's an even longer way from like 2012 era Jace the Mind Sculptor $100 bills. These are not the same ballpark. And this is what people constantly like say, Magic's more expensive than ever. These cards are this and this and this. You have to get the Modern Horizons 2. And I'm like, yeah, what you don't understand is that, one, Modern Horizons 2 is like 3 years old at this point. And two, like, inflation exists. 2016 was 8 years ago, and inflation is up 25% since then. And this is not a political thing, because it is not about that. It's just a reality that Magic cards, the number that you see next to them is not the same thing as it used to be. And price is not the same thing as accessibility.
I'm going to also take this in the other direction, too.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan Bouchard talked very, very briefly on this when he was on the cast a month or two ago. But the definition of a bulk rare has changed drastically. Because there's more rares and packs. There's all these factors as to why there's a lot more bulk rares in the game. But you can go through a pile of bulk rares nowadays and just build something incredibly powerful. And like you said, 2016 Magic is, you're going through a true bulk rare pile is like French vanilla creatures that are on the front of intro decks, like an 8-mana, 8/7 hexproof. That's your bulk rare.
Yeah.
And nowadays there's so many just extremely powerful Magic cards that are just, it got reprinted a lot. It's a bulk rare, and you can play it, and it's very good. And all these lands are very, very powerful that are very good, and you can still just build such powerful decks for $30, $40, subsidized by these mega corporations that you hate.
Great point.
But like that is the other direction of this is like Magic's so expensive. Yes, if you want to play the pinnacle competitive paper Magic formats with these very expensive cards that are expensive within your Overton window. I'm not saying that Shieldred's not expensive to you.
It is.
Who is in this different socioeconomic status.
We're not defending the price of it. We're just context.
Some guy finally got his purple Hidetsugu, and that's why you have 12-cent reality chips. You're welcome.
Well, this is I've been doing something over the weekend that was long overdue for me. The way I usually keep up with Commander, because there's more products than you can basically ever keep up with, is I wait until a set's a few months old. I go to EDH Rec. I look at all the top cards just from the set. And I just make a big list of cards I think I might want for my Commander decks. And then I later, having looked at 1,000 cards at once and figured out the 50 that interest me, I then narrow down from there, right?
Do you put those cards in your clipboard on EDH Rec so that you can export them directly to TCG Player, Card Kingdom, Face to Face, or Magic Card Market?
That seems like the thing that one should do. Yeah.
We get money when you do that. I wish the clipboard were called a shopping cart, but I lost that argument. But you can seriously just click on stuff on EDH Rec and put it all in your clipboard, and then you can export your clipboard directly to TCG Player.
Well, it is. It's helpful, and so the point is, these cards, a lot of cards I want, a lot of very powerful stuff, not expensive. They're like 87 cents each, and it's
so hard to find pick of the week from EDH Rec now. I'm like, Auric Lore Mage, that's 4 years old. Nope. It went from $1 to $2 over a year. It's capped at $2, I bet. Like some really ridiculous stuff.
Talking about that export feature, when I was on the cast a few weeks ago, I brought up Tomio's journal as my pick of the week. and I made a specific note that it was every Tomio's journal was a pick except for the Jumpstart one, because the Jumpstart one had jumped in price, and it was because of this export feature where anybody going through Goldfish or EDHREC or any sort of website like that, converting their clipboard or shopping cart to a store, it is going to default to the Jumpstart one, because Tomio's journal is this weird card that has like 8 different flavor text, and all of those have parentheses on TCG Player, SCG, etc. So that doesn't work. And my suggestion was like, buy the normal one. If you go to the Jumpstart version of Tomio's journal on MTG stocks, people are still buying the very expensive one, and the supply of that one is drying out enough. You can check the TCG data of the Jumpstart Tomio's journal. It has sold for like $20 multiple times. Like, it's sold dozens of times for $15 to $20. That specific version of that card, which just shows the power of things like EDHREC and things like other import systems.
If you're using EDHREC, it puts the lowest price underneath the card. So if you put an 89-cent card in your cart and it's trying to charge you $20, change the versions. Sometimes that's TCG Player where I'm like, only imprint cards, and they're like, oh, these imprint cards are from Fallout, and they'll be available soon. I'm like, I said imprint.
You gotta watch out for the optimizer sometimes.
I really don't want my Path to Exile to be a $2.75 version from Fallout, so my package doesn't ship. It's the automation process. Everybody in that step in the process has their own little thing they do to kind of make it not great, but at the same time, you can just put stuff in a list and put it in another list and click buy, and you're like, I'm a fucking computer programmer. I don't care that I overpaid on my Tamio's journal. I just like have a pile of cards. Those are the people that don't go to patreon.com/BSB. You give us the money, we'll tell you how not to spend too much money on a Tamio's journal. But for the rest of you that just got more money than time, good for you. That's me these days. I just go with like, ooh, they have Poison Dart Frog. Let me buy 100.
Yeah, it's I won't lie, I interact with Commander much more casually than I used to. I think it's partially a result of me getting older. Our priority shift, but it is also a result of their printing strategy and the fact that so much comes up. And I don't even think it's a negative thing. I don't have to comb the one. We get the beginning days of, like, you get your one set or your one yearly Commander release, and you look at it and that's what you got. And if that whiffed on your decks this year, tough luck. Nowadays, you just kind of browse through all your friends' stuff. If you each get a couple things of the new set, you're going to find cards you didn't know, and everything's of a general enough power level and Commander that it works. The designs are really fun. That's what I figured out over looking at the last year of Commander cards. It's sometimes less about like power level on them and more about fun. And I think they've hit a lot of new cards that have fun mechanics in the way they play at a table.
That's why EDH boxing leagues are so much fun.
Yeah.
Because like you can build a whole deck out of basically any box you get. Because you've got 20 legendary creatures to choose from, and you've got a ton of powerful 10-cent cards. You spend 100, well, I guess it's like 150 now, but spend 150 bucks on a box. And we talked about this last week. Oh, it's 150 for listen, you can get, I got a play booster with 5 rares in it. So as much as it's like, oh, it's 150 bucks now, a booster box was $100 in 1996 when I was
and this goes back to the
mowing
inflation
lawns.
conversation.
Yes, I'm literally looking it up right
like
now.
we talked about this last week. So like, yeah, it's 150 bucks for a box, but like also you get multiple rares per pack. And also the price hasn't gone up in a real long time. So we're not shilling for Wizards. All we do is complain about how every decision they've made is terrible, but going back to play boosters was a good decision.
Yeah, just for reference, a basic draft booster box, 36 draft boosters in the year 2014, 10 years ago, right? That's what you would have gotten.
Yep.
I visited with a Theros or something back
Cons
then, right?
was 10 years
Cons
ago.
was great. So that's a perfect example. Your draft box of cons, you're going to get 36 to 40 rares, I guess, if you get foils or whatever, and you're hoping for a couple fetch land, right, to get your $20 to $25. Well, in 2014, that $100 box would now be $130. So you are paying more than $130. You're paying $150, but you are certainly getting more than 36 to 40 rares.
And adjusted
in
for
their
inflation,
box.
you're barely paying more.
Correct. Yeah. So that's look, so I look, I don't want to harp on inflation, and there's a lot of people. I am a family of four struggling with inflation. That's why this isn't to say everything is great now. But just want to provide some context. Sort of where Magic is at as we enter the world of the universes beyond and all of this that came out of the conference call today.
So another thing, if you're worried about inflation, there's a government program that is going to actually curb inflation for future untaxed assets. So Google FUTA inflation for more info about that. For your future untaxed assets. It's, it's interesting stuff, I browse through those pages for hours just learning.
I have an entire Reddit account dedicated for that, just to like keep it all separate from my regular boring Magic stuff.
God damn. I didn't know what. And now I'm gonna have to clear my search history.
In real time, Corbin learned a lot about.
I googled
future assets.
I googled Fuda inflation. My safe search is off by default.
On your work computer too? Definitely do it on your work computer. They'll know this guy he's put in the hours. He's learning about inflation. He's learning about fiscal policy on his own time on the work computer. Definitely use your work computer.
Jason, you mean fiscal policy?
Fiscal. I get to say that because I cut the tip of my thumb off. I wasn't even doing anything like Corbin reaching into, I assume, soapy water.
I was unloading the dishwasher.
I was cutting celery. I was cutting it fast.
I would say at least you had a knife. Like that happens. I was reaching into a dishwasher and the blender blade.
Go on Twitter. I looked down at the cutting board when I came back after bandaging myself up, and there was like a slice of thumb meat on the board.
Did you saute it?
No,
Season
because I'm on a new diet.
Not the Atkins diet, not that one.
I'm on FODMAP, which is not it's not like future untaxed assets. You can Google FODMAP on your work computer. That'll be fine. I gotta cut out everything I like to eat.
Oh God, he's right. He's right. I
shits.
just Googled it, and now you can too.
Yeah, it's just it's food. I'm not gonna get you twice in one episode.
Yeah, Jason would never run a bit back, right? That would be tired and old for Jason to run a bit back.
Not. But yeah, I legit, like, there's a flat spot on my thumb. It looks like I put it through a wood chipper partially, or I don't know, a meat slicer. I was the meat slicer.
A knife, perhaps.
It would look. Keep your knife sharp.
See, I told you I'd never be able to catch him, DJ. He's on that new diet now. I've been losing a little weight, but I still won't have a shot.
Oh, I don't get to eat anything I like for 3 months because I'm eliminating.
We were talking about
everything.
whether or not I could chase you down, and I said you have tracksuits on. That means you run a lot. There's no way.
I mean, I was a 4-sport athlete in high school, and that was only 30 years ago. So, like, yeah,
Jason, I ran cross country in high school, my guy. Then I broke my foot like 4 times since.
Do I get rollerblades? If I get rollerblades, I'm uncatchable. Can I have rollerblades and you can have track and field cleats?
I don't want any of. I'll be honest. I don't want any of that. I'm just gonna let you go.
BSB triathlon at the next event we're all at.
Well, that sounds like a Patreon goal if Magic content were alive enough for us to
shooting, skiing, and climbing. I bet if the 3 events were shooting and skiing and climbing, I could probably win best overall. I'm the second best climber.
I've never shot anything, but I think I would be good at it.
I've shot some stuff, but we can't ski.
I can ski.
Did you know, by the way, it's cheaper to fly to Japan for a skiing trip than it is to go to the average place in Colorado for a week of ski?
Oh, cool. You know what else is good about not going to Colorado to ski? Everything. Everybody goes to dude, I live in Michigan. I'm not going to fucking Colorado. Bro, I'm going.
What if we? No, Jason.
Road.
Stop. We're not doing skiing. We're gonna do hockey shots. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, but doesn't that seem more fair?
Yeah, it's not to you, but yeah, it's more fair.
Jason, I grew up ADHD shooting hockey in my driveway, man.
All right, Sidney Crosby, show me your mom's washing
I'm
machine.
I'm just saying I'm not talking myself. I literally could be the most trash ever. I'm just saying I'm not completely dead in the way I would be at skiing.
Well,
climbing?
I mean, I won't
I'd
pretend
climb.
I
You
didn't
guys
pick skiing specifically.
Climbing, you guys might give me, but I've done some
what's
climbing.
the one
That'd be
event you
fair.
would pick? Free throws?
Yes, I guess that would make 3-pointers actually.
3-pointers? That's not fair.
It feels like my rate between free throws and 3-pointers has a smaller gap than y'all's would.
I think that's probably. I feel comfortable shooting a free throw. Can I go all the way over to the side? I feel like that's pretty close.
If you want to shoot from the corner 3,
Yeah.
that's the easiest shot statistically. But I'll be honest, I
Is it
actually prefer
easy?
to.
Because you don't have the benefit of the backboard.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but it is like the NBA has been all moneyballed, and the corner 3 is statistically the highest percent shot, and you get for 3-pointers, and you get 3 for it.
Yeah.
So you have people who made their entire career in the NBA. Before now, everyone just has to be able to. But you have people who make an entire career out of being the corner 3 guy, right? They play defense and they would stand in the corner.
The guys that made those corner threes, I think the term for them was Caucasians.
Can we
You're
bring
wrong,
back?
though.
I'm wrong.
Ray Allen is not.
John
But that's what I
Stockton
was thinking
actually
of.
won the slam dunk competition. Get out of here. It's white.
Can we
people.
Stockton
bring
was a-
I'm
Korean
not saying
basketball-
only white people shoot threes. I'm saying white people only shoot threes.
Can we bring Korean basketball over here?
What's Korean basketball? Is that where you
They
use
have-
your? Is it like volleyball with your feet? I've
No,
seen
they
that.
have like different point rules. Like
Have you
he's an
seen
evil
netball?
dictator and everything, but hang on.
Have you seen that ball
Basketball.
where you can't move with the ball?
Maybe. I don't know.
Hang on. No.
That's
Hang
fine.
on.
Go ahead. Yeah, you're good.
Korean basketball.
They have like a
So
4-point
slam
shot.
dunks are worth 3.
Okay.
3 points get 4 if it doesn't touch the rim.
Oh, okay.
And you lose points if you miss 3 free throws.
I like that one.
What is this NBA Jam?
That's better than NBA Jam rules. That's great.
No. But like, yeah, like Kim Jong Un's an evil dictator and everything, but like he knows how to make a sport more interesting.
Yeah,
Anyways,
because he
Jason,
has
to answer
Dennis
your
Rodman.
question-
He's like, hey, Dennis Rodman, I fed you nothing but kimchi and heroin for 3 days. How would you change the rules of basketball? Ah, man.
They I
Broken
prefer
clock,
to shoot
but
from
yeah,
the
like-
top of the key, Jason, to answer your question. I like to have straight on dead shot to the back.
I'm not done. There's apparently
three,
number
two.
4 and 5 here on this list.
All right, let's hear it.
Any field goal made in the last 3 seconds is 8 points. They have a golden snitch rule.
Field goals is that's football.
No, it says field goal. Like in the article I'm reading about
Corbin,
are you
basketball.
pretending
that just
not
means
to-
like I
you
assume
doing
that's just
this?
like a regular like.
I got him, Jason. Shut up. I got
You
him.
did, yeah, you did.
Sure, I don't care. Number 5 is the most boring rule. Games can end in a tie.
It's dumb.
Doesn't it
That's
happen in the
really-
NBA? Can NBA games end in a tie?
No.
They go to OT?
Yes. Then
What
they go
happens
to
in
double
OT? More basketball?
They play
The same
5 more
shit?
minutes.
Is it 3-on-3?
They play 5 more minutes of basketball.
Dude, they should play 3-on-3. 3-on-3 in the
Hey.
NHL is fucking lit.
I do kind of agree with that, but like, no. You just play
Don't you
normal
want?
basketball.
No, it's 2-on-2. It's NBA Jam rules. Both your heads are huge. You can shoot it from
It's-
center court, and if you make 3 baskets in a row, you're on fire. And all your
You're on
three-pointers go in.
fire!
It's
I
super
got
Well,
hard
they-
striker
trouble. My
rules.
mom yelled
What-
at me for I said Bill Clinton is on fire, and I was talking about NBA Jam, and she was mad that I wasn't talking about real life.
Did you see the prop bets DraftKings had on the Super Bowl? You could bet on whether or not Travis Kelce proposed. You could bet on Taylor Swift time.
11 seconds.
They had many,
The entire
many,
right wing lost its collective mind over 11 seconds.
they had many prop bets regarding Taylor Swift on
Good.
DraftKings.
I like that shit. We should be able to
But it's
bet
just-
on everything. Money's not real. Dopamine is.
That's I agree. That is yes. That is
brought
that's
to you
our
by
saying here.
DraftKings.com.
Yes.
We're sponsored by
is-
DraftKings now.
They literally, that's the entire like premise is like make the games mean. That's their advertising. Make the games mean more. Have something on the line.
Listen, fantasy sports made people watch teams that aren't their one team. People got NFL Red Zone because of fantasy sports.
I spend $400 a year on fantasy football. Obviously, I can win money back and occasionally. But yes, I enjoy it a lot. And then I watch that at Red Zone. Like, it's a really good nerdy thing to do.
I got second place in the only fantasy football draft I've done, and it like auto picked because I didn't know anything. And every hockey draft I've tried super hard, I'd suck at fantasy hockey.
All right, something you don't suck. Well, let's be honest. Something Jason kind of sucks at, but something I don't suck at usually is breaking bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
I know you're not going into breaking bulk after saying you're better than me at it.
Corbin, I'll be the arbiter of this right now. Between you two, I have an Urza's Saga uncommon.
Oh, I know that one. Oh, I know. No, I know that one. That's the Gears.
Urza's Saga green uncommon. Is it Fecundity? How many times has it been printed?
3. Once, I think.
Fecundity has a reprint.
Fecundity has lots of reprints. Only.
So it's not Fecundity is the answer.
Is it? Does it have
Invigorate?
Does it have Titanium?
Invigorate.
No. Sorry, it does have one list printing. The market price of the Urza Saga one is 44 cents.
Titanium
the list
Boom.
version is worthless. No.
Is it what kind of card is it?
Enchantment.
Rancor.
No, Rancor was Urza's Legacy common. Jesus. Come on, man. These are the sets I know. Shit. Volrath.
It is an aura.
No, that was Stronghold. Geez.
It is kind of like Rancor.
Comes back when it dies. I feel like I actually saw this card in.
It's kind of like Rancor in that it's an aura.
It has a lot of similarities to Rancor.
It comes back after.
Well, there's only one card that does that. I can't think of the name of it, but it's in my Tatsunari deck, and that's.
That is not the similarity to Rancor. I am calling it. Gaia's Embrace is a 4-mana green enchantment that gives +3/+3 and trample, which is a lot like Rancor.
Oh god, Gaia's Embrace.
And that you can also regenerate the creature for a green.
Yeah, that card's terrible. Why is that worth money? I didn't even consider
Great question, but the high buy list is 15 cents a copy. So if you have a bunch of them just sitting there, you can get yourself a Mountain Dew Baja Blast for the 20-year anniversary.
It's 30 times the bulk rate.
Plaza or something.
It's 30 times the bulk rate. You pick 15 cents. Well, DJ's Robot does it, but like
hey, 15 cents is real. That's 5 cents 10 years ago.
Or if you are in the process of learning how to scale your economy, you list it on TCG Direct for like 50 cents, and eventually it sells for a quarter plus 7 other cards in an Aura's deck.
Or put it on Cardsphere.
Sure. Cardsphere works too.
Cardsphere's great.
Cardsphere, Card Trader, Card Puka.
Just Cardsphere. Just Cardsphere. Not sponsored. Just Cardsphere.
All right. I'm going to test your knowledge of new card. I think DJ will probably get it. This is a black uncommon from Murders at Markov Manor.
Oh, I'm not going to get it.
I have not seen a single card from this set, so good job.
You're right. And you know why? What? Because I said Murders at Markov Manor, and none of you noticed.
It's Murders at Karlov Manor.
No, I did it accidentally, but none of you noticed. Felt like a real John Oliver bit right there.
I'm John Oliver, and I'm pretending not to understand America.
That was more Aussie than British.
I know the difference, you f***ing wanker.
But what you don't know is this black uncommon from Murders at Karlov Manor.
Yeah, great. Oh, actually, you know what? I opened a case of this set. And I've
said
seen
you had play
cards,
boosters.
I don't remember. Whatever. I don't care. This doesn't matter. I'm bad at it, so I don't care.
DJ, anything?
I F6'd a long time ago.
Long goodbye. This is a future $2 standard uncommon in my. The new cut down. It's better. It's not the new cut down, but listen, it's a 2 mana instant. This spell can't be countered. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3. And you may think, well, that just seems like a pretty normal removal spell. The this can't be countered clause specifies this includes by the ward ability. Some of the most important cards in standard, like Rafine, cost 3 mana and have ward. So yeah, this is it's a 60-cent uncommon.
Are you guys aware of the card Cryptic Cloak from Markov Manor?
Sure am.
Wasn't that Cass's pick of the
It's from
week last
Karlov
week?
Manor, but yes.
For Markov Manor. Didn't Cass have that or was that her bonus POW just last week just because you can make a Phyrexian Dreadnought with it?
You can do a lot with it.
I learned a special thing about this card for the past weekend because somebody was looking for specifically the extended art version for their use in the RC. And the reason for that is the extended art version of Cryptic Cloak, nowhere on the card does it say Ward 2. The extended art version does not have reminder text, which means it does not explain the cloak ability. So if you cast this card, you're just going to say, I'm going to cloak the top card of my library. And if your opponent just happens to try to lightning bolt the creature that is attached to, they will possibly be disappointed.
That's wild.
The extended art versions don't have reminder text, so I mean,
True.
this person did not get to get value out of it because they chose to play it as a sideboard card. As much as I wish they could have gotten the value of the story out of it, but
Angle shooting is, I believe, what you call that. That is a classic angle shoot.
sure, not against the rules.
We play the cards as written here. Orchestra
No, it is
Flame
not
costs
against the
3,
rules.
baby.
Yeah, it's not against the rules, that's for sure, because
If
any
they
of
ask
those
what
cards-
Cryptic Cloak does, you can say it cloaks the top
Yeah.
card of my library. If they ask
don't-
what Cloak does, then you would.
You
The
manifest.
I don't remember.
It's a lot like Manifest.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't recall.
Hey, listen, if you're going to question me like we're in a deposition, I'm going to answer like we're in a deposition.
We're getting real close to touching my
I'm
cards
an elderly
discourse.
man who means well but has a bad memory.
Poor memory. Yeah. No, this is veering into touching my cards discourse. I'm just saying.
I want to trip you guys up on my pick, which is a blue common for Mercadian Masks.
Brainstorm.
A blue common for Mercadian Masks, not a blue common for Mercadian Masks. This is only for Mercadian Masks. Brainstorm was originally printed in Ice Age, Corbin.
What's it called? It's in my wallet. Hang on.
Gush?
Wait.
Only if you have
Gush in your
47
wallet?
pages.
This card is not in your wallet.
47 pages
Look
of
at my
Gush.
camera.
What is it?
It's diplomatic immunity.
Oh, what are you, the bad guy in Lethal Weapon 2?
Wow, you would name him. You would name a Mel Gibson movie.
I've told the
That's
story
a
about
Danny
this card.
Glover movie, sir. It's Black History Month. That's a Danny Glover movie. I know Gibson happens to be in it.
Okay.
I have told this story on the podcast before. I'm 99% sure, but the first Magic event I ever worked back in like 2016 or so, the person running the booth is like, "Hey DJ, come! I need to talk to you real quick." So they take me behind the booth, like one-on-one. They're like, they pull out their wallet and they pull this card out, and they're like, every Magic vendor needs to have one of these in their wallet as a sign of good luck because we travel a lot. It's the card Diplomatic Immunity. It's just like a good luck charm. And I was like, oh shit, this is like the inner circle. I'm being indicted to like the back alley cabal of vendors. Like, oh shit. I was like, how many people do this? He's like, oh, just me.
Just me. That's definitely an indictment for sure.
And so I have had this card in my wallet for the past
Indictment was the
8
right
years
word.
or so.
That's
DJ
rad,
thought that
dude.
was how he gets into. They shows up at the door
You know-
and they say password, and you're supposed to hold up the card.
I would be impressed that you got my pick of the week, but you did it with a prop, and I don't respect that. What are you, fucking Carrot Top? You're the
Jason
Carrot Top of
hates-
Breaking Bulk.
You should know that Jason. It's well established on this show that Jason hates physical comedy. He does, unless it's me in a milk crate. He hates it.
Or unless
yeah,
it's
I
you
cut the tip of my
Googling
thumb
porn.
off. That felt like a physical bit, and I was like, I don't respect what I just
No,
did
that
with
was
my
a
thumb.
bit of you. is what that was. A
Yeah,
literal
there's a
bit.
physical
bit.
bit of myself
a
on
physical
the
bit.
cutting board.
Yeah.
I took a go to Twitter, and if you're not following me on Twitter, go yourself. What's wrong with you?
And if you're blocked by Jason on Twitter,
Go
you deserved
yourself.
it.
You deserved it.
All right. Well, we appreciate that was a little bit of delay there to get to Breaking Bulk. You stick around for those after hours. Patreon.com/BSB.
That was
all right,
not
let's move
after
on
hours.
to the.
That was
Anyway,
all
diplomatic immunity
podcast,
is a
baby.
card that you should pick.
That's right. So let's talk about the regional championship. Specifically, DJ and I talked about this pre-show a little bit.
Denver?
I was following it along on Twitter, and of course via coverage, blah, blah, blah. And to me, it seemed like I don't want to use this in the wrong way, but like a moment. Because everybody just started tweeting, like high-level pros were tweeting like, need 4x Scion of Dracos, 4x Guild Packs, 4x Surveil lands. And I was like, this feels like, Pro Tour Amsterdam back in the day where everyone was making their run on a declaimer.
Pro Tour Amsterdam. I need brownies. I need a prostitute. Like, someone pushed my smart car into the canal. Like, anything can happen in Amsterdam.
Merfolk top aided.
Merfolk top aided because somebody pushed their deck into the canal, and they're like, they swim.
But so no, it seemed to me like a sort of like, wow, this is cool. This is the discourse. I don't want to even use that in a negative way, but like it feels like a timely Magic tournament development is like what is happening in Magic the Gathering right now, and that felt pretty cool to me. It feels pretty rare. So that was my perspective looking in on it, and of course, then the deck found a lot of success. The Before you used to play Teamer Rhinos with some extra cards, and now you just play the Cascade Rhinos package in whatever shell you want, and that turns out to be this Guild Pact, Playline of the Guild Pact, Scion of Draco, absurd monstrosity
That deck is
broke out last weekend.
Super funny.
It sure is.
Any deck list that starts out 4x Scion of Draco, you would think, oh, I know exactly what they're doing, but you'd be wrong. There's so many things you can do with that absurd card.
Yeah.
Am I dealing them 20 damage because it's got a high power, or am I just playing it on turn 2?
The ley line is interesting. I kind of am interested to see if eventually people just realize that maybe Scion is just good in your domain deck where you're playing ley line bindings anyway.
But it's
like
also
maybe,
a Modern Horizons card, so good luck making a Modern Horizons non-mythic worth anything.
that can be a challenge, yeah. But that was
Why is
my
Ignoble
perspective.
Hierarch
That's
below $3? Can somebody explain that to me? I've been
Brennan's
doing
sad.
MTG finance for a decade, and that doesn't make any
Sad.
sense.
Jason,
to
you
me.
are from an era of Magic where X1s are good.
yes, that's the difference. It's not that they're unplayable, man.
What?
They're just not playable unless
The
you're
Light of
Yawgmoth.
Halfling is a Magic card.
Unless you're Yawgmoth or whatever.
EDH
Like-
is the thing. People play Ignoble
Okay.
Hierarch and EDH a lot.
Okay, man.
Do you think that moves fewer prices than in Modern?
I think that the price of Noble Hierarch was built on people playing 4 of it in Humans, one of the most popular decks in Modern. Yeah. I don't think it was built on people playing Exalted Mana Dorks in Commander. Not to say it's bad in Commander. It's clear that that's why it's $3,
I don't think
not 30. Yeah.
All right. I get it.
What's
but
sad is that they made
I
Ignoble
understand
Hierarch.
it, but I don't want it to quote.
Right. So they made Ignoble Hierarch, which was like the big, like, oh, we're finally giving Noble Hierarch to other colors. This is a big deal. And it was right at the time that X1s became irrelevant, which is just kind of funny.
That
'cause now
makes
it's
me
just a forgotten
furious.
card.
Fury makes me furious. You made a better
so-
pyrokinesis. That's all you did, and it turns out that is enough.
Well, Modern feels like it's in an interesting place moving forward. That's for sure. DJ, what was the experience like for you on the vendor end of things? And was everybody rushing up asking for ley lines?
Well, so I didn't know what to expect from this event. Regional championships have historically been very, very bad for vendors because they are events that were designed for a select few players that qualified for them, while also being attached to DreamHack, which is very much a non-Magic thing. There were 2,000 people at this regional championship, though, and it was in a format that had kind of just gotten new life breathed into it and hadn't seen the high-level play in a little bit, so I didn't really know what to expect. If it was going to be bad, Denver. It's also been a while since Denver had a big event. Denver's a very I guess, centralized city for people to fly to. My expectations were all over the place. The event turned out very, very well for us in terms of the amount of Magic card transactions that we did. There was a very, very, I guess, recurring theme that did match Atlanta, which was players wanting us to have cards that we cannot bring logistically. Like you said, the people wanted their ley lines, people wanted their Scion of Dracos, they wanted their Surveil lands. They also wanted a very high amount of money when selling those cards to us. So, like Corbin said, Scion of Draco and Leyline both spiked very hard over the weekend. I had plenty of people asking me, hey, what do you want to pay on this card? It is in the middle of spiking, and you can either A, put it in your case for way too much money, or B, you can bring it home, wait for it to drop back down in price during the 2 weeks it takes you to process all your 30,000 acquisitions from the event. So the different vendors have different takes on this. Some vendors just choose not to engage with it. Some will buy the Surveil lands for 2, sell them for 6. There's a plenty of different ways you can go about it. One vendor friend of mine bought Surveil lands, and then they put them in the case for $6.
Why don't you just call him a friender?
What was that, Jason?
What if you didn't?
Call him a friender.
No, don't.
It's a portmanteau.
Don't.
I cleverly combined the
do
word
that.
friend and vendor. You don't have to say vendor friend. You just say friender.
Don't do it, DJ.
I don't get it.
I don't know how to explain it more basically than that. It is a portmanteau,
up.
man.
I don't get it.
I
Anyway,
should.
this person bought Surveil
Friender.
lands and they wanted to put them in the case, so they put them in the case at 6. And at this exact moment, the Surveil lands just happened to say market price $2 on TCG Player, because TCG Player market price takes a little while to update when there's a lot of stuff going on. And so a player saw this. They saw that this person had Surveil lands at $6, and they chose to report them to the tournament organizer for scalping or gouging or what have you.
Gouging.
It's $2 with free shipping. How about
That's
that?
unreal.
It's
That's
$2
unreal
with
to me.
$4 shipping.
That's reporting them to the TO. What do you think that they thought that they were doing something when they did that?
I think they were filled with righteous fury, even though that card is
That sounds like the
They-
Hot Pockets guy. Like, you will sell me this toothbrush for 1 cent.
Exactly. Yes. And did they think they were going to be like the Hot Pockets guy? They probably thought they were going to be heroes on Twitter when they took it to the man for price gouging.
scalping
at
a tournament.
My vendor friend,
Your friender.
Render.
thankfully is not somebody who felt the need to make it a giant ordeal. They just laughed in a private Discord with us and was like, yeah, the TO just kind of laughed it off, and it's very silly to think
You're describing the cabal, the secret
So
cabal
basically,
Discord.
they did not take a picture of this person's angry face.
that. Correct.
So
That's-
Jason, you're in
that's
the
a
clear.
misplay.
You got away with it.
But
I got away with. I was in Denver.
if you are a player, I'll try to ground this a little bit for anybody else who's not a vendor. If you're a player who just happens to
Vendor.
own the new hot card for the weekend, I would recommend, I think that your time is better spent trying to find a private buyer for that card instead of spending 25 minutes making the rounds to vendors, asking them to see if they will pay $15 on your ley line, even though TCG says it is 22 for this glimmer in time. And that is what somebody said. Somebody brought a playset of ley lines to me. They said, I would like to sell these. How much do you want me to pay on them? Or how much can you pay on them? And I just gave them a look and I said, what do you want? Like, clearly we both know what's going on here. You're not trying to get me. I'm not like, what do you want? And they said $15 a piece. And I just kind of gave them a little giggle and they let them
Look, man, to that person, I'm gonna take.
Look, man.
Well, listen,
I think you're hurting the entire industry by laughing at people. I think you can just say no and let somebody else laugh at them that doesn't have a podcast. That's my recommendation.
I'll frame it like this from their perspective. From their perspective, they're offering. They think that you're just going to turn around and throw this in the case immediately. They're going to be gone in 5 minutes for $22 each.
Yep.
Why
You're
this feels
going to
super
get
fair
88
to me.
and I'm only asking 60.
Like, so can you answer that question?
creating process exceptions in the booth is very, very difficult logistically to justify.
And that's by process exception. You mean that's what, instead of these cards going through the normal inventory process, the idea of just throwing them in the case.
Yes.
Vendors are
and-
not really at an event to pay $15 on a $22 card. Vendors
Correct.
are at the event to pay 25 cents on a $2 card.
Well,
And if
th-
they
Or
sell
part of
shit
it.
out of the case, great.
So that is part of it. The other part, I am happy to pay $15 on a $20 card if that is the meat and potatoes of my business model. If I am paying $10 to sell a $12 leyline binding and I know that I'm going to move 600 of them on TCG Player this week, great. I am happily
or
going to
you're
hot list that
exporting.
card. I
Yeah.
will put leyline binding on my hot list. I'm like, yeah, 80% of TCG low. This is the loss leader. This is when it's going to get you into the booth. And then,
Yeah,
yes,
this
I
is
also
how
want your
somebody
quarter cards.
buys 4 $2 furnace scamps from me, or whatever that card is.
Cacophony
you know.
Scamp, yes.
Cacophony Scamp. Furnace Scamp, better card. Less domain oriented, certainly.
But I would say creating process exceptions within the booth is very difficult, and also if you are trying to be a vendor that has everything in stock at an event throughout the event, then you are effective, and I'm going to use their verbiage here, you are effectively required to price gouge. So like if I want to stock regular Shieldred and I want to have them in stock all weekend, I'm going to charge $100+ for that card, because if I pay 70 and sell them for 80, yeah, I'll make $10 a copy, but I'll also not have any. So like I'd rather just not have any and not engage with the ley line. Like, what if the deck's bad? If I pay $15 a piece on it and I go home with them, that's terrible.
Yeah, what if you take 200 copies of it home and it's like, oh, it turns out the deck sucked every available deck this weekend.
Yeah,
Good point.
Very well said.
It's not a margin game anymore for vendors. It's very much a volume game.
So the actionable here for the player, if you are just a person at watching at home or who just sees the graph and MTG stocks go up suddenly, I would very much try to expedite your process of getting these cards online. And as a player, making a process exception in your system is much easier than somebody who is moving 6 figures of cards in a weekend. Like, you can list those cards and then just throw them in the inventory. That takes you 30, 40 seconds. And you are much more likely to just be able to keep an eye on the pulse of TCG Player, refresh that page every 20 minutes, be like, oh, they were selling for 25 at noon, now they're 22, I'll list mine at 20 and get in there. Or if it's still going up, you can figure out that line in the sand, and instead of trying to buy list them to Card Kingdom, because Card Kingdom's certainly not going to want to pay you $15 on a Saturday for these, you can get that money if you are willing to put in just a smaller amount of time on these very hyper-specific situations, like a Smuggler's Copter, or like a Leyline of the Guild Pact, or any sort of card that hyper spikes in a weekend. Because, like Corbin said, it is rare that we see this kind of like event spike nowadays. I mean, back in the day when there was a GP every weekend,
Yeah,
and there was
like
new tech
there's an
coming
event.
out.
You could pay $15 for a Savage Summoning on the floor, but that didn't translate to TCG Player.
You could, if you were Ryan Bouchard and you knew it was going to be a $22 card.
Well, how else are you going to put your Aetherling into play?
Yeah, that's yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an older meme, sir, but it checks out.
Well, I'm an older cast member.
The other little asterisk I would add onto this is to not set your expectations higher for variant printings and foils. I would lower your expectations, except in very hyper-specific situations.
If someone offers you not less money for a foil copy, you should
You're
be
winning.
grateful they're willing to pay
You're
the
winning.
non-foil price on your curly bullshit.
Like,
Yes.
I think play sets of extended art foils in this situation are the one time you can really get that premium for the whale who's just like, I just want the new deck in the pretty. But if you just have like one or two foils, like I'm not paying a premium on them. They're probably less.
Well,
Leyline
and the
was also a
actual-
$10 pre-order, so if you're paying $25, it's because you didn't have the foresight.
I opened one in the pre-release. I'll probably still have it in a box 6 months from now when it's not worth $20.
No, what I'm going to do with mine, I opened a booster box. I got 2 ley lines. I'm going to put them on Card Sphere and get the cards I actually need for my decks.
So on the note, while we're deep in the numbers and the math this week, Hasbro released its quarterly earnings report and conference call. And Magic as a whole, up 2%. not maybe what you were hoping to hear. Lord of the Rings, the best-selling set of all time. Magic still only posted a small growth. Hasbro overall did very poorly, as we knew. They laid a bunch of people off right before. So they also committed in this, and this is probably the piece of the call that got the most attention, is that they're committing to 2 full-scale Lord of the Rings style Universe Beyond set releases a year, 2 per year, starting in 2020.
I'm here for it.
You're here for it. I thought you might say that. The internet seems to not be here for it. To me, I was kind of surprised it even made any waves because, like, we're Lord of the Rings. Like, we're like 40 sets. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought we already did this. Like, if you view it as jumping the shark. Yeah.
During Stranger Things Secret Lair in like 2018.
If you view it as jumping the shark has been jumped. If you don't, if you just view it as a normal, marketing cross from blah, 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 if you sort of accept it, then it doesn't really seem like anything new. I guess the news is that the Lord of the Rings release being obviously it's highly impacted modern. It's not, the idea is that the universes beyond aren't really beyond anymore. They're just our universe and we play them in modern. We have modern, we're going to have, it was Pro Tour Lord of the Rings, right? There could be Pro Tour Fallout. Now we're selling the naming rights to the Pro Tour, right?
Sure.
Like, look, I'm not saying no. I'm just elaborating on.
I know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I'm telling your straw man he's stupid.
Take
I
that,
mean, it's not a straw man.
Idiot. You scarecrow, you.
It's not a straw man. I mean, it's just if you care about that, you care about it. It's real. If you don't, then you don't, I guess. And that seems to be the divide.
I have, and again, anecdotal evidence, whatever. I have noticed so many new people come into the game through this. I have interacted with a lot of people at these 2,000 person events. There were so many people in Denver who were like, this is like my first Magic event. I know I can't play in the RC, but I'm just kind of here to hang out. And like, I heard it was going to be a cool thing. And my friend got me to Magic through Lord of the Rings. And I'm just here to like play in these side events, try to qualify for something. Like I talked to a judge. They ran 42 LCQs on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
An LCQ is a last chance qualifier. It's a single elimination.
Yeah.
It's a single elimination style tournament where, like, if you lose, you run it back and you try to qualify for Denver on Friday. You are there
They're called
to just
meat
like
grinders.
And they ran 42 of those on Friday. There are so many new players coming into the game through Lord of the Rings. There are so many people who have never touched Magic before, and all of these universes beyond are going to just continue to bring people in. And I was a little hesitant on the amount and different styles of universes they were bringing into Magic. And I mean, you can take Mark Rosewater at his word, or you can not. You could just be like, "Oh, he's a corporate shit," whatever. But like,
what was his word though? What did he say?
The word was, "We have turned down a bunch of people. They have been selective with the universes they've picked." And I can understand if you're a big, powerful brand like Fallout or Final Fantasy. I can understand not wanting, like, oh, we don't have to make our own card game. We can just copy and paste our stuff into the rules and just give them the licensing to make a bunch of cool cards and just get passive income off of that.
It's good for them for sure.
It's symbiotic.
Well, what's interesting about that is that Wizards pays a licensing, which is baked into it's significant enough, at least in some cases, that it was in the earnings call, that their margins are impacted by the licensing fees they pay. But the idea of they're turning down people coming to them,
right,
kind of flips that. What if it's not, no, I have no idea how any of this works, but what if it's not, let's approach Riot and try to license League stuff for, well, I mean, they killed Runeterra, so maybe it's companies wanting to go to them because getting your stuff on your IP onto Magic cards is huge.
And that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's certainly ways to look at it.
Listen, I can't sit here and on it when I'm about to like go balls deep on Fallout. Can I? Like, if it gets more people into the game, good. Even if it's Doctor Who, even if it gets the worst people in all of sci-fi fandom playing the game I like, and I have to interact with them at the LGS, I gotta admit that's good for Magic's bottom line, even if I don't want to hear timey-wimey at the LGS.
It also, I've seen the idea that some people have said, well, it's gatekeeping if you say, well, then fine, call me a gatekeeper. So there's some strong feelings out there.
Don't gatekeep.
Sure.
We need people. We need more people. We need all the people we can get because a dinosaur corporation is being propped up by its two profitable games. And Tencent apparently wants to buy D&D, so like that.
I wondered if we were going to talk about that.
That'll put even more pressure on Magic to be like the only successful IP that a company's still trying to sell Nerf guns 30 years too late. Has. There was a report. How is
out.
there no Magic the Gathering themed clue set?
We talked about this. We did.
There was a report out there that Hasbro was shopping D&D. D&D was up a lot.
76% versus Magic being up 2%.
I mean, obviously, Baldur's Gate is a large part of that. Hasbro was also forecasting a weaker 2024, not for necessarily bad reasons, or however you want to say it, but their line was that because Lord of the Rings was the best-selling set of all time, whatever we do in that spot is not going to match it. Therefore, we expect to do. So it's a lot. And look, Wizards had posted quite a tidy profit margin as well. So I don't want this to be viewed as doomsaying, which is, I think, how it can often come across. Magic made a lot of money last year, a lot of profit, not just.
Actually, no. I want to say that if you're listening to this on a podcasting app, this is not doomsaying. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is definitely doomsaying because that's the kind of stuff. Hang on. Let me see. Testosterone pills. Liver
Rogan.
guy, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan. There. We're at the top of the
George
YouTube
Santos
algorithm now. So thank you for
We already
watching.
talked
this
about
on
the
YouTube.
Taylor Swift stuff earlier, so we're good.
Oh, that's a good point. My daughter said that she is a Swiftie and that her favorite song is. I didn't listen to the rest of the sentence.
What was the
I
song?
just
Come
locked her in
on,
a
I
room
need
and
to
made her
know.
listen to Ween.
Go ask her. I want to know. I'm gonna judge your daughter's taste in Taylor Swift music. Come on.
I'm already judging her for being a basic. Like at this point, it doesn't matter.
She's the anti-you. She's okay liking popular things. They're not off limits to her.
They should be. I made her listen to the Beastie Boys in the car coming home from school, so this wouldn't happen.
That's something monkey. Something monkey.
Brass monkey.
Brass monkey. All right, before we get out of here this week, it's been a bit of an adventure this week, but we thank you for sticking. It's always an adventure, right? Good. It's a good thing. But we thank you listening for sticking along with us. And now it is time for Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
All right, Jason, we'll let you go first so that no one can steal yours and you can complain later. What's your pick of the week?
I got a backup pick every week. Do I complain?
Yes.
Yes. Am I allowed? Also, yes, this is my podcast as much as anybody else's, and this is my pick more than anybody else's. Hey, Mesmeric Orb sure is selling out under $5 everywhere. Could it be because the Wise Mothman is coming out pretty soon? The Wise Mothman from the Fallout set? People are excited about milling again. Milling is back in. Get your ruined crabs out of your bulk. Dust off your Bruvac the Grandiloquent to find out it's going to approach $20 again. And hey, while you're at it, why don't you grab some Mesmeric Orbs? They have been printed a lot recently because they were in the whole...
Brothers War and Double Masters.
But what was it? It had the Urza Saga expansion symbol, basically. The Brothers War.
There was retro frame, yes.
Yeah, the retro... The we're not doing masterpieces anymore, but here's a masterpiece. All those versions of Mesmeric Orb, a card that was originally printed, then was in Double Masters, then was like a couple of treatments in Brothers War. it's still selling around $5. If you can get mesmeric orbs under $5, you know what? No. If you can get mesmeric orbs under $7,
Yeah, I like that.
do it. Mesmeric orb, $10 card. Wise Mothman, gonna be an impetus, but not the only impetus. It's a mesmeric orb. It's a card that mills people. It could
to
be
elaborate
printed
on
again, but in
Jason's-
the next year, I doubt it. I think you are just gonna see people coming into Magic from Fallout, building Wise Mothman, because everybody is building from the Mardu deck. The most two popular commanders from Fallout right now are Caesar and what's his name, Mr. House, both from New Vegas, both from Mardu. So the Wise Mothman from 76, a game nobody played, is going to get people killing and milling and grilling. You definitely want to be milling, so get your orbs so you can rad storm them out of the game.
Also, well said. Mill is in Modern, and it's real. Actually, not even like it's an actual part of the metagame. Not a huge part, but Mesmeric Orb is.
Yeah.
It's
You need
still
so
there.
much support to mill, 300 cards in EDH? You
Well,
need less support to mill
yeah.
like 50
Cautious
cards.
Hideous Laughter gets better by the day.
Oh my god, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. What a
That's
I don't even like it in EDH because it exiles and doesn't give you
That's
access to those
that's the
cards.
card that makes the Modern archetype, because against a bunch of decks, if you're not playing against kind of Beans deck with things that cheat on their mana costs or they have big mana costs, everything is like 0, 1, 2, occasionally 3, and you just mill 20 cards with it. Really, really a real.
You got to
For
lock
real.
2 and 3 mana, mill a third of their deck cards. Yeah.
All right, I'll jump in next. This is probably more of a Pioneer pick. It's very cheap, but Light Paws, Emperor's Voice, it's just busted. This was a big deal in a bunch of arena formats during that time. It's just, in effect, whenever Nora enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you can search the library for Nora with mana value less and put it on Light Paws. It's just so powerful. It's the basis of several decks. And sooner or later, this deck's going to bust out again in Modern or Pioneer. And it's going to move up from the under $1 it's at now to more. Kamigawa was 2 years ago.
You could put Gaia's Embrace on that card.
Oh, hey, DJ, I need your advice on this. A lot of the copies of Tasha's Hideous Laughter out there are actually coming up on TCG Player as Malcolm's Mercurial Mirth from Jurassic Park stuff. So do you think the fact that some of the Tasha's Hideous Laughters aren't coded as
That's
Tasha's
funny.
Hideous Laughter
That's funny.
could impact the fact that we could be backfilling some of the demand with more copies, but they're not called that?
Jason's on fire tonight.
It's possible.
That was
the
cogent
way
analysis.
that the Eroka interacts with Scryfall and TCG Player is often just nonsensical and weird, and I cannot imagine the interactions between Architect and EDH Rec and TCG are any better. So it could be possible that Malcolm's Mercurial Mirth or whatever it's called does not just ever get filled by a cart optimizer. Yeah, that could be a thing.
That's very funny.
All right, I'm gonna go last, and in the spirit of Universes Beyond, it's on the horizon, but it's not super far on the horizon. Assassin's Creed has been confirmed. It was confirmed a while ago, but it's creeping up here like an assassin. And Scarblade Elite is only from Morningtide. This is one of those rare cards that has gone almost 20 years without a
Remember
reprint.
this card.
It spiked very, very
No,
hard.
no.
It's not.
I
been
played
even
in that
close.
pre-release. That
It's
was
15
5
years.
years ago.
Don't listen
Okay.
to him.
Sorry,
It's not
Jason.
20.
This card spiked very hard after Streets of New Capenna came out. I believe there was some assassin-y tribal thing with a master set or something. It was Ramses, or there've been a few. They've sprinkled some assassins along the past couple years. But Scarblade Elite, the Morningtide rare that taps to Doomblade something, is down to $1.50. And if this is not in an Assassin's Creed precon or renamed or secret layered or something, it will spike very hard if there are, assassins in Assassin's Creed.
I don't.
Atrata, Ramses, Mary, and I guess other Atrata have all
I
been
think
printed in
Atrata.
the last couple of years. So
I think Atrata was the
assassin
one that spiked
type
it.
is actually a thing again.
I did used to have a very terrible Queen Marchesa assassin deck around 2018 or 2019. It barely had enough creatures to even register into the deck, but
Yeah.
that was back then,
Well-
and this was one of the all-stars of it. Then nowadays,
So-
and it's an elf assassin, so I don't think
That's what I was gonna
Assassin's
say.
Creed
That's
has
that's
elves.
what I was gonna say. I was gonna
I-
point out the elf part of that.
But listen, I played this event. I played this pre-release, and I got first place in a 250 person. Well, I split for first, second in a 250 person pre-release because I had a deck that was all assassins and changelings and had Scarblade Elite in it,
Yeah.
and 3 weed printer poplars, and the deck was just nuts.
Yeah.
But that event could not have been more than 5 years ago. So
Yeah,
I think your math is a little bit off, but Scarblade Elite is a very good card.
Yep, that's
And they're
You nailed it,
putting a
Jason,
ton
you
of new
nailed
good
it.
assassins, especially in the last couple of sets. You're getting assassins from New Capenna. You're getting like Massacre Girl and stuff like that. Atrada's an assassin, and Atrada came back in Murders at, what is it, Markov Manor? So I'm saying Markov Manor willfully. Fuck you guys at Wizards. So yeah, there's assassins everywhere. I think maybe Kelson the Plague was a thing also. So like a lot of EDH cards have made Assassins Matters decks, and Scarblade Elite, no matter what the color combination, whether it's Mardu or like Dimir, it goes in all of them. So this is a great pick.
I love it as well because I think the elf part of it makes it very unlikely to be printed because when they make those, if it's a whole recon release, it's going to be individual cards. Not reprints.
Minor part to add onto the elf part that nobody's going to care about, but Scarblade is also like a Lorwyn term.
Correct. Because that's what I was originally looking at.
I
as
used
I'm
to
looking
think
at it.
shit
I'm
like
with you.
that
Those are
mattered,
great
but then they
all
just invented new reasons to reprint cards. Like, yeah, they can't put a
Well, right.
set specific mechanic in a precon. They're
Sure.
like, nah, that's
right. And the thing is, like, even if it avoids being
list.
put in, any of these specific products, maybe it shows up in the bonus.
No, Jason has a very good point there. The naming convention mattering for reprints matters less because the ratio of like standard legal reprints to non-standard legal reprints is so high. Like they can just put it in the list and be like, oh, it's assassin themed lore. Like we're doing Assassin's Creed.
Right, exactly.
This is where we put that card. That can happen. So this is when you would want to act quickly on if you want to have them in advance before any semblance of hype happens.
Well, and this is a great conversation because we're talking about all the risks involved, but the reality is that every time something like this comes out, something slips through the cracks. If you look at Wanderwine Profits for the Hackball deck, right? That card is like $20-something now because it's just really busted in the Hackball deck that everyone built. And it just happened to avoid getting reprinted in any of those spots. Therefore, it blew up. So, yeah, it's the same. Something's going to slip through the cracks and make someone a lot of money. And Scarblade Elite, $1 Morningtide Rare, is among the best upside you could. Great pick. And another great pick for all of you out there would be Coalesce Apparel and Design. Generous sponsor of this podcast, the place to go for all of your Magic the Gathering apparel needs. You can use the gift code Brainstorm Brewery. That'll give you 10% off your order, which you can use on merch for any of your favorite creators, not just this podcast. All right, and on that note, everybody, we appreciate you sticking around with us here this week. We hope you enjoyed the Murders at Karlov Manor pre-release. We hope you like the cards because it's I'm writing my TCG Player article later tonight. There are a lot of card price movements of decks that are popping up. There's just a lot that's happened in the past 10 days or so in Magic. I think that for everything we've talked about, this year has got a lot of momentum. A lot of events going on right now. RCQs, RCs, PTs, SCGs taking over the regional championships later this year. So I would expect, big pushes then. I think it's just a lot to follow right now. So we thank you for sticking around. We'll keep you informed on it all. We'll see you next week. Brainstorm Brewery. JJ, I rambled a little there. You can probably cut the last sentence.
You can probably cut the tip of my thumb off like I did.